That's from my office. I'll have to get another one for me.
I'm going home.
We're ready whenever.
Is it 7? It's at 7.
Yeah, it's 9. The new 7.
Oh, my God.
All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order with the invocation and pledge by Mr. Curtis Coon.
Lord, as we enter this meeting, we ask that you guide us and lead us. Give us the knowledge that we need to make the best of decisions for the people of Newberry County. And let those decisions be most pleasing unto you, Lord. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, do we have any additions or deletions? If not, do I have a motion to adopt the agenda as presented? Motion by Mr. Scurry, second by Mr. Reeder. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous. Item number 3, ordinance number 122520, an emergency ordinance to suspend temporarily the normal operating procedures applicable to the meetings of the county council to declare a state of emergency with regard to county council's continued ability to conduct necessary business of county, to provide for emergency procedures for public meetings of county council during said emergency, and to provide for the continuation of said procedures upon extension of this ordinance by county council. Mr. Adams?
Mr. Chairman, this ordinance is an emergency ordinance, which means it would only be in effect for 60 days unless sooner repealed or extended by county council. It suspends council's rules to allow for council members to participate electronically. Currently, nothing in council's rules allows for this kind of participation. This preserves the ability to have a quorum in the pandemic, and it also preserves the ability of all council members to participate in the meetings. And that is, Jay, is that the? Okay. That's basically what it does. And the new council, when the new council comes in, if they don't like it, they can repeal it. This is adopted by one vote, it's repealed by one vote.
Yes, Mr. Reeder.
If this is approved, have we established a way for the meetings to take place?
Yes, we are working on that now. In fact, there will be, is Irvin's not, Irvin, tell them what's going to happen.
Well, what's gonna happen is that we got our remote set up over here with that camera system. We put in a brand new camera up on the wall there,
Okay.
different than what we had been doing with just the remote thing. This camera, can zoom the whole room. I mean, it can cover the whole room. It can zoom right in on, if you're speaking, we can zoom in on you. And so, and we got a lot of options. We're gonna be learning the system, but the plan is we put a big screen TV up on the wall. We're looking at putting it in the middle. If members can't make it to the meeting, okay, they can zoom in, okay? And they can zoom in audio by phone, or they can zoom in video.
And if they zoom in by video, they'll be seen here and they'll be seen on the camera from people watching the live streaming.
Okay.
But everybody doesn't adapt to technology well or quickly. So if you have to just call in on the phone will be here with a microphone to it, so everyone can hear the person who's calling in to participate, including the people who are on live stream.
We're also gonna change that TV out to a bigger 55-inch and put a 55-inch here. So if there's 3 members sitting here, like if you're sitting here, you can look at this TV. You won't have to turn around and look at that TV. You can look at this TV here and see whichever member's speaking at that time. Same way over there, that group can look that way. You don't have to look all the way across the room and stream. So we'll have 2 here that won't be zoomed in on the YouTube. The YouTube will be zoomed in on the one big TV. And if it's centered, they can catch whoever's still sitting here at the bench and who's talking on the TV. And you'll be able to communicate back and forth. The members will, you still have, just like you have right now, all your discussions and everything. And then you'll actually see the votes that they cast if they're not here. So that's basically what it's allowing. It's remote.
Irvin, this is a new question, but I think I know the answer. This will allow for people who have Zoom capabilities at home, if they want to participate in a public hearing, is that going to be a possibility?
They won't even have to have Zoom, we can actually put it out.
Well, if they want to be on TV,
They can, yeah, if they've got their own setup, they can do everything themselves.
a laptop with a camera and a high
But we
speed.
only give them a number, they can call this number.
Okay.
And they'll be able to communicate with anybody on the council with you.
Okay.
By audio. Do it, basically, the beauty is you can do it either way, audio and video. If you don't have the, capabilities at their house or whatever, just call me up. You can speak.
If we would call in, would it be live also?
Would it be loud?
Live.
Would it be live?
Oh, yeah, it's all live.
Okay.
It's all live.
There's
It's
no
as it
delay on
happens.
that, is there, Dave? There's no delay on that.
There's a
Part.
30-second delay for, you know, that's when.
So, well, let's ask,
SEC rules or something like that, you got 30 seconds.
let's ask Dave this question right now. Is there a 30-second delay on participation by people not here?
No, in the Zoom meeting, you're almost perfect real time.
Okay.
A very slight lag, just depending on somebody's computer.
Mhm.
The live stream that's going on to YouTube and on the website, that has a system delay of about 30 seconds.
Okay.
But we can embed the Zoom into that live stream. So
Mhm.
somebody's just watching, they won't know that there's a problem. If somebody's involved in the Zoom call, they probably won't want to watch the YouTube video
Yeah.
because they'll be a half minute behind everybody else.
Of course, essential to all these plans is having a TV guy named Dave, and we have that with us today. But Taylor and Irvin have set this up, and Taylor has been learning how to use it, so we'll be fully autonomous, in-house capable.
All right, other questions?
Mr. Chairman. This ordinance, if we pass it here this morning, will only be in effect during an emergency situation. It will not affect the normal operations of a council
No,
meeting.
this capability will be here for every meeting. If we have a council member who has COVID, or even if it's just one, or if their immune system is compromised and their doctor tells them they don't need to be here, they will still be able to use this. In fact, we will want to encourage people to use electronic means to participate and observe wherever possible, because that reduces the chance of people spreading the virus. Similarly, we have for payment of property taxes, we've suspended all of the transaction costs for paying online. If you want to pay your property tax and do it online, you don't have to be sick to do it. You can just do it, and it just keeps you out of a group of people.
So, in other words, if a council member just has a common cold and don't feel like coming, he can come in under this ordinance
He
and
could, yeah,
participate?
sure.
Okay.
Sure. And that's a good point about this is a quorum does not have to physically be present. I expect, being creatures of habit as we are, that people will continue to show up for meetings unless they have some illness that prevents it. But this thing only lasts for 60 days. If council sees that people aren't just aren't coming to the meetings anymore, and they don't like it, repeal it. It's gone. I don't know what you would do, Dave, but yeah.
Any other questions or comments from council members? I guess my thought is on this is it's just a way of trying to be safe, provide opportunities to make sure that if we have something time sensitive as a council body, we can make it happen regardless of whether the person is ill to the point where they don't need to be around someone. And of course, you know, if they're in the hospital and can't, I mean, that's totally understandable. There's still, you know, reasons that you can't Zoom in, I guess, even. But as a whole, if you're just sick or you got family members that are sick and you don't want to come expose other council members or expose the public or our working population here, we're not here to harm someone. We're providing an opportunity that will allow, even in these difficult times or emergency times, crisis times, pandemic times, you can still participate and not expose fellow council members or fellow citizens of Newberry County. I guess is the best way I can pretty much summarize this to be what I hope is the best way that we can deal with this as we currently have it. So, anyway, with that being said, do we have any other questions?
Yeah, well, Mr. Chairman, why, can't they do that now, under the freedom of information?
As in,
Under the current South Carolina emergency law that was passed back in March, they can do that now.
as in, who can?
Anybody can.
Council's
Anybody on
own
council.
council's own rules don't allow it to meet this way.
I'm sorry, what?
Council's own rules, without this emergency ordinance, do not allow council to meet in this way.
It says that specifically? I mean, I thought when the state,
Mr. Kane, our rules do not permit any meeting other than in person. And if you're referring to what the governor had an executive order, it still has to meet the local requirements. So if council has no way of having an electronic meeting, then it doesn't matter that the FOI allows it. Council has to permit it based on their rules. And that's the purpose behind this ordinance, is to temporarily suspend the rules to the extent that if council finds the need to have attendance electronically or virtually, however you want to term it, it can be done. And it only lasts for 60, it expires on the 61st day.
But now, am I correct? Scott, did I answer your question? I'm sorry.
yeah, I got that part answered.
Okay. But am I correct in my understanding that in the future, even once this expires 60 days from now, we're still going to be allowing the public to communicate via Zoom?
Yes, I don't think that is limited by our ordinance, the public
I
participation.
like that because I
Yeah.
think that gives even senior citizens who don't want to drive, or somebody not able to drive, or somebody who just don't want to be in public regardless, it also gives them an opportunity to participate in our meetings from a distance. And I really think that's going to be, that setup, well, I keep pointing to that camera, that setup is going to be a good thing for all people to have the opportunity to be included. With that being said, this ordinance, any other questions? Yes, sir, Mr. Coon.
I'm just wanting to make sure that during the period of time that would be taking place during that 60 days before it expired, that no council member could abuse this ordinance by calling in and saying, I'm running a little late, I'm gonna be 15, 20 minutes late, but I wanna go ahead and vote on this certain issue. I don't wanna see that happen. I want them to have to participate in person other than under emergency circumstances.
That'd have to be an understanding among council members, and they'd have to police that themselves.
Which on the flip side, that could be a good thing. Not that we are in a high-traffic situation, but if somebody were coming from Columbia and got caught on the interstate and wanted to still participate in the council meeting, they could call in and say, I'm stuck in traffic on 26 and I'm listening, I'm participating.
And I'm gonna participate while driving, and
Yes.
maybe knitting an Afghan and eating a cheeseburger.
But that's gonna be something that's got to be trusted by the persons that are actually seated at the time, I guess.
Well, I'm going to trust that future council will look at it, and if there's anything that doesn't work out as it should, that they'll critique it, change it, or abolish it. In saying that, I will ask that council, I'm gonna make a motion that council accept ordinance 122520.
We have a motion, do we have a second? Second by Dr. Rucker. Any discussion amongst that? Yes, sir, Mr. Kane.
Well, I got a couple, only, now, to make a resolution, if our, and I don't know that it was ever stated anywhere in the explanation, but we have to be physically present to cast a vote. And we don't fall under the Freedom of Information or the emergency state regulations that said that all governing bodies had the option of doing it electronically, which is, I'm not a lawyer, but that's the way I read it, that we could all do it. But, you know, so we're calling an emergency meeting for that. I agree with, we're going to have to change the, we need to amend, if we're going to allow people to call in or participate during the Zoom meeting, we need to change the ordinance, because I think in there it says all that is suspended, and the only way that they can participate is by sending a letter in. I mean, that's written in here. I think it's in section,
I think
yeah,
it's,
section 2, echo. Members of the public may submit written public comments which shall be distributed to the members of the governing body. And that, right now, according to this, is the only way they can participate. So, one, we need to have an amendment for that. Look on echo. So it'll be section 2, meeting protocol, E.
well, it says any requirement is suspended and the public may submit written public comments.
That's exactly right, but what it says, I mean, the way I read it, and Mr. Slothaker, the way I read it is the only way they can participate really is to submit written comments and not do it during our session.
Mr. King, I don't read it quite that restrictive, but if
Okay.
you would like to offer an amendment that says may submit written public comments in addition to calling in or participating in a meeting, that's fine. I think the intent of this was to say that right now, the only way that we typically allow the public to comment is to show up and make a comment. We've already changed that once. If you recall, we had a public hearing where we tried to have people permit them to call in and also send comments either written or by email, so long as it was by 5 p.m. of the day of the meeting or some period of time. But I'm sure if you'd like to suggest a modification, or maybe Mr. Adams is working on something, we can modify to make it clear that the intent is we're suspending the fact that they have to show up to make their comments. They can submit it in writing, but they could also, as has been outlined, they can call in or they can Zoom in and participate that way in addition to actual physical presence.
Mr. Kane, would you support an amendment that says after the words "the public may," insert the words "participate by electronic means or," and then the rest of the paragraph would continue as is, submit written public comments which shall be distributed to the members of the governing body?
Yeah, I'd like to submit that recommendation to, as an amendment to this ordinance.
Is there a second to that amendment, Mr. Chairman?
Is there a second? Second by Mr. Reader.
Yeah.
All right, any other discussion?
And then there's a vote on the amendment as offered by Mr. Kane at this time.
All right, have a motion to a second. All in favor of the amendment?
Well,
Oh,
the amendment, yeah.
all in favor of the amendment? All right, hold hands again, please. All right, 5-2 with Rucker, Scurry opposing.
I just hate to see us be so restrictive.
Okay. All right,
Now the question is on the original motion as amended. We don't need a second,
All right.
a motion or a second.
now, all in favor of the motion as amended?
Well,
Mr. King?
no, that's okay.
Huh? All right, as amended? All in favor? It is 6-1 with Rucker being a no, is that correct, Dr. Rucker? Okay.
Actually, Mr. Chairman, I want to change my vote to no.
Okay, 5-2 with Rucker and Kane, no.
And
Why did we amend it?
I'm sorry?
Then why did we amend it, Mr. King?
the amendment was that we allowed, to amend it so we can allow the public to vote.
But then why did you vote against
Or
it?
not to vote, but to have their public comments during the meeting and live. So they can look at Zoom, they can either Zoom in and ask questions, or they can call in and ask questions during the public comments and those kind of periods that they're allowed to do that.
Then why did you vote against the total thing?
So did we just vote on the amendment, or did we vote on the whole ordinance?
We voted on the amendment
Oh, I
first,
want to, no, I'm in favor of that amendment.
and then we also took a second vote as amended, which was what you had requested to be amended,
Then I will vote on the whole thing.
as the whole thing. So let me get clarification. All in favor of the motion as amended? Again, just for clarification. Motion as amended. So we still got a 6-1. Okay, with Scott, with the no vote. Is that correct, Scott?
Yeah, I don't agree with, I think we're still tying the hands of the, usurping all the authority of our new council. I mean, we're basically a lame duck council that's sitting here 40 hours, less than 40 hours from the time we leave office and deciding how the next council is going to operate for the next 2 months. And,
But I think we also said that the new council had the privilege of changing this immediately upon the first meeting if they want. This
Yeah,
is just to
and-
try to get us through a temporary period, and that's exactly what we're trying to do, is a temporary period. But, I mean, everybody has the right to their opinion, but I think this is, again, trying to make everything where it's favorable. And again, we're not tying their hands, because it is that with 4 new council members, the 4 could come in together and change it immediately if they wanted to.
Well, okay, but I guess some of my concern in this whole process is that we're calling an emergency meeting determining how the next council is going to run for the next 60 days. Well, but we aren't, so we're sitting here shoulder to shoulder, and so, all these things are right. Mr. Travis has already had COVID. He's a recovered patient now and tested negative. But I mean, we're all subject to it. It is very real. And it is something we all need to respect and have, but we haven't been until now the last minute. We're sitting here basically shoulder to shoulder still, so we're not doing social distancing. We have our employees, they take temperatures coming in here, but that's because the Chief Justice said that they had to do it. And so we're now taking temperatures coming in, but there's no restriction. When you go around our public buildings, when the people come in, it says one sign says recommended mask, another one says, wear mask, but it doesn't say it's mandatory. And so I think it's just inconsistency what we're doing. I don't think we have any policy for our county employees, not a formal written, except to probably just follow what it sounds like, just to follow the CDC rules. Well, that's like following OSHA rules. Here's the OSHA book, and go follow that. Well, not all of them apply. How do you apply? But we don't have any kind of written guidelines from our county that's succinct that actually says, hey, how do you test every day? What kind of protocol you're going to use? If somebody in your office comes down with it, what's the protocol for doing it? You don't have any of that.
Mr. Chairman, I think, with all due respect, Mr. Kane's objection is dilatory in this respect. He's saying that because everything's not perfect, good things can't be done. Yeah, we should all think about, in this ever-evolving situation, about how better to distance and keep each other safe. And maybe there's a way that we can have 7 people up here further apart. Maybe we figure out in the future that it's best if some number of them stay home and participate for that very reason. But this system allows us to perfect. To say that you're going to let the perfect stand in the way of the good is, I would prefer to say ironic rather than inconsistent. That is the other point about this is we don't know who might have COVID as a member of the new council. This council today is protecting the ability of every single new council member to vote and participate, and how that can be seen as pernicious, I do not know.
Well, that's a good words, good soundbite, except that people can get in an accident coming. They can come down with the flu before the next council meeting.
Again, we can't ensure the perfect. We can't ensure people won't have accidents. If the technology one day exists for that, we will surely all vote for it. But today, the technology does exist for everybody to participate safely from home.
My point is, we should have been doing this a long time ago, and now at the 11th hour, there's some great emergency just to get it done.
Well, part of it's because Dr. Fauci and all of them are saying that the numbers after Christmas are going to significantly escalate.
Yes.
And my thought in this whole process was, okay, yes, let's do something that will allow everybody to have participation regardless of what I say regardless, again, if their illness is just diagnosed as COVID and they're sitting at home and can't come, this just allows everybody, and it protects everybody's right to have a vote, even from afar, whereas in the past, our council, our basically regulations require in-person voting. This just is something that if something does happen between now and whenever, it gives everybody the opportunity. And again, based on the regulations of recommendations of what Dr. Fauci and the federal government's recommending, I'm somewhat agreeing with you. Our state governor, whoever, state education director has never given any lead to what needs to be done statewide. I mean, it's left for every little small government to be the one to try to make a decision. Right now, we're just trying to make a decision that will allow everybody that is currently in or anybody currently coming on to have that opportunity to participate. And I'm looking at this as something very favorable, trying to help everybody out, not trying to harm anybody.
Mr. Chairman, we've had a motion, we voted on it, we've had a second and a vote. I think this discussion should come to an end.
Okay. Public comments? Comments or requests from the county administrator?
Thank you all, Mr. Chairman, for coming here to participate in this important vote, because I know we all thought the council had met its obligations by the last meeting, but thank you for coming in to preserve participation by new members of county council and by the public, the citizens of Newberry County.
All right, comments expressed from council members. Scurry, Rucker, Reader.
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody that called and text me and also make, comments. Yeah, it's a struggle going through it, but I'm finally cured, and hopefully none of us get any COVID or anything anytime soon. Everybody, please take care of yourself.
Mr. Kane.
I do want to recognize and thank all of our emergency responders, all from our security forces, all of our sheriff, police departments, to our first responders for working through this. We are at one of the highest points, December, with 500, and I guess a little over 500 cases now, are high. So I really appreciate everything they do. They're the ones that are at risk, and I just wish we had a more protocol from our from county that overreaches and does protects everybody from getting it.
Mr. Stockman.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to first off start by saying I hope everybody had a very Merry Christmas, and hope everybody has a very happy New Year's Day. 2020 was quite trying, so let's just hope that 2021 will be somewhat better. Thank you.
Mr. Coon.
Prayers for all of those that are sick with the COVID, a speedy recovery. And I would like to recognize Mr. Todd Johnson, who is council-elect. He's present here with us today, and I'd like to recognize that he is here and present.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'm just trying to collect my thoughts after listening to what we've heard here today. I'd like to thank Mr. Tasker and Mr. Adams for working to come hard to come up with this ordinance. I think it's so important, no matter when, we try to protect our people. And I really think this ordinance is a great idea for the council. the incoming council. And, you know, it's easy to criticize and to find holes and so forth and so on. And I hope and I pray that as the new council comes in, that they will, will work well with our administrator and staff in a very positive way.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Can I make one more comment, please, sir? Since this is, I think, is gonna be the last meeting.
We hope so.
Yes. I just wanna thank Administrator Adams, his staff, everybody, for the tremendous job that y'all have done, in the 12 years that I have served. I would say keep up the good work, but I know I don't have to. I know you will, and I feel like that I'm leaving the council in very good hands, and thank you for all you do. It's been a pleasure serving with all of my council cohorts, should I say, and thank you very much.
All right, in kind of closing, I'd just like to say that, you know, again, I think this is a step in the right direction. If there were a cookie cutter answer, the federal government would have one, the state government would have one, but unfortunately, none of those have one. There's only one person that has a clear cut view on what's gonna happen here, and that's the good Lord above. And there's another strand coming out. We have no clue what that's gonna do. Again, there's only one person that knows what that's gonna be, and that's the good Lord above. This is a process, and it's gonna be a continuous, monitor and adjust to see what we can do to make this the best. We never know. The state government, federal government may shut down the way we have to have all meetings on Zoom. So, again, this is just something we have not had the experience of dealing with, and nowhere can you go back chronologically through the years and find something even similar under modern government times. So, with all that being said, the only thing we can do is pray that this stuff passes and that we can get through this as quickly as we possibly can. And, again, thanks to all who have been involved, thanks to all who are trying to make this happen. New Year's, you know, if you want to do your part, don't be out in these large groups, but anytime you can get a chance to sponsor and help your small businesses locally, please do so, because they are truly struggling because of the stuff. And again, keep praying for our first responders, because they are forced to be out into it to protect all of us who will have their ability to sit at home with Zoom and monitor our meetings. So, anyway, again, thanks to everybody. I hope with all good intentions this works out. If not, it can be repealed and changed to something different. So with that, do you have a motion to adjourn? Adjourn.